but how many siblings do you have?
Well, I think around 100. I believe it's around 100, give or take, one or two, but I'm thinking we're like at the 100 mark. But I remember when we said, holy crap, like we think our biological father is our mother's doctor.
Hello, you are listening to NPE Stories. This is a podcast where NPEs can share their story. I am your host, Lily, and I found out I was an NPE through an ancestry DNA test that changed my life forever. NPE is a term that stands for not parent expected or non-paternal event. This means that one or more of our parents are not who we believe them to be. NPE Stories is a podcast where NPEs can share their story of what their original family was like, how they found out they were an NPE, and what their journey has been like since the day they found out. And welcome to episode 181. And we are in the holiday season. I just celebrated Thanksgiving a week ago, and we are coming up on Hanukkah and Christmas if you celebrate those holidays. And that can be a tricky time for those of us that have had a DNA surprise. So I just wanted you guys to know I'm thinking about you, and I hope you're getting support through the holiday season and seeing your family members if that's what you choose to do. I was actually thinking about quite a few of you on Thanksgiving Day because I leave these episodes and I just remember your stories and I replay them in my head. And then when I'm with my family or my husband's family, because that's who I celebrate holidays with, I think about you guys. I wanted you to know good luck with the holiday season, and I'm thinking about you. It's also that time that I'd like to ask those of you who listen to this to subscribe and leave an honest review or rating for this podcast. It really helps brand new NPEs find this podcast much more easily. So feel free to leave an honest review, and I appreciate you guys so much. I'm going to introduce my guest right away. I'm so excited to see her again. And today I am speaking with Jacoba Ballard. Hi, Jacoba.
Hi, how are you?
So good. It's nice to see your face again.
I know, it's good to see yours too.
I saw you or met you for the first time at the Untangling Our Roots Summit last spring.
Mm-hmm.
That was a whirlwind.
It was.
You have had a wild couple of years.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I should say right from the beginning, for anyone that doesn't know, you had the Netflix documentary. You were the narrator of the Netflix documentary, Our Father, which came out, I believe, May of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I saw on Wikipedia today it had over 42 million viewing hours, something like that. I mean, it had to have been one of the top documentaries of that summer of 2022.
Yeah, it was.
So I know your story because I've watched the documentary. But for those of us listening today, we're going to start at the beginning and find out who was in your raising family and how you found out you were an NPE, or in your case, DCP, and then what has happened since then.
Okay.
So let's start with your raising family. Who was in your raising family?
Well, obviously my mom, and most people don't know, and I, kind of try to keep my family private. Not that I don't share, but especially like through the documentary, I'm kind of, tried to keep them private. But so I have an older brother that's 4.5 years older than me from my mom's previous marriage. So it was my mom, and then he was a teenage pregnancy. And, back then, of course, you got married and everything. So they got divorced, and then she met my birth certificate father. And not long after they got married, and this is from my mom told me, she said that he had lied to her and he knew he could not have children. But then after they were married, that's when they found out that he could not have children. And so he knew that she wanted another child. So that's when they went to visit Dr. Donald Cline. I don't even like to call him doctor. He doesn't deserve that. He's no longer a doctor, but at the time he was.
Yes. So your parents, your birth certificate father and your mother went to a fertility clinic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I use the term DCP. Do you prefer donor conceived, assisted reproductive?
Donor conceived's fine. I don't get offended by,
Okay.
Nothing really offends me. So.
And when did you find out that you were donor conceived?
So when I was 10 years old, there was a lot, I look back now and talk to people and they're like, my goodness, that was trauma, but we don't think of like our, childhood things, I guess, as trauma, or at least I don't, especially when I hear other people's stories and I think could have been worse. Like my life could have been worse, not saying other people's, but when I hear theirs, I'm like, well, what do I have to complain about? But when they got divorced when I was, I believe, 2, and, at the time I didn't realize that my birth certificate father had a problem with drinking. So he wasn't really consistent in my life. So when I was 10, I remember crying. He was supposed to come get me. He was supposed to get me like every other weekend, and that did not happen a lot of times. So I was crying, and like children do, they say things, and I'm like, I just wish he wasn't my dad. And my mom said, well, he's not. So that was like, I'm laughing about it, but it's not. It was traumatic for her to say it like that.
Wow.
And then that's when I stopped and I said, what do you mean? Because it's so crazy. The whole time growing up, all my family had dark hair and dark eyes, and like my birth certificate's family, like, has Native American. So I always thought, I was, and not just like, oh, we're Native American, like they actually knew. It wasn't like the, folklore of, there's Native American. No, really was. But I always asked, like, if I was adopted. I always, Mom, you can just tell me. I won't be hurt. Just tell me the truth. So, and then when she told me 10, she told me that they had went to use a sperm donor. And, a lot of people, that's why I'm so apt about tell your children. I understood. I mean, of course, I had to ask, like, what that was. But I mean, she just matter of fact told me what a sperm donor was, and I understood it. But, at that time, because I was born in 1980, there was no DNA testing. And if, later on down the line there was, but it was so expensive. So, I had all these questions. Well, who is he and everything? And do I have siblings? I mean, that was one of the first questions I asked her, like, how many times was he used? And she was told no more than 3. So if I was born then, I was like, okay, then I have 1 or 2 siblings unless there's multiples.
When you found out, did you have a discussion with your birth certificate father as well about this? So he knew that you knew.
I did. I think actually, can't remember if I asked my grandma first, and she told me it wasn't true. But I know, looking back, because I was so close to his mom, my grandma. And I know, one, it wasn't her place. It wasn't to tell me, but he told me it wasn't true. But then that caused like my whole lifetime of this riff, because their marriage did not end well. So there was a lot of things said about my mom, and then my mom said about him. And, as a child, you kind of, or at least I did, quit mentioning it because, I didn't want to hear bad things said about my mom or about him. And so I didn't know what the truth was. A lot of times I thought, of course, I mean, my mom was the most consistent person in my life. And so I'm like, she's telling me the truth. Why would she just, make up something like this? But then on the other hand, when he would say no, I'm like, well, is she lying? Like, I don't know. So you just kind of, as a child, like being in the middle, you just quit asking.
It sounds like you were close with your mom. How was your relationship with her?
It was, it was good. I mean, there were times when it wasn't good, I mean, I won't get into like specific details, but, I mean, there were things that, I lost my mom last year that, she apologized for and stuff and everything. But, within a day, like I loved my mother. And I have to say, I mean, the last, 5 or 6 years of her life, like it was the closest we ever were. So,
I'm
yeah.
so sorry about your mom's passing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You went through a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Finding everything out, trials, the cases, the documentary, and then losing your mom. And I can't even imagine.
And being sick on top of all of it, it was crazy.
You are suffering from medical conditions.
Mhm.
I just saw you take medicine.
Yeah.
It was actually, forgetting the name of it, last week was like Family Health History Day. And I was speaking with another NPE, and he said, Lily, you should send your biological father this, I believe it's called like a health history form or family medical history form, and get your medical history, accurate medical history. Did you have health conditions as a child, or what? How did you find out you were sick?
So I did. From the time I was born, which of course I don't remember this, but from my mom and my grandma and stuff, I was like always like really sick. I know they said like I survived on like Jello water and Karo syrup like as an infant, and then like when I was like a toddler on up, I would wake up and have like severe muscle pains, stomach ache. And of course, back then it was, oh, it's growing pains. And I remember, like, I mean, because there were periods of time, like, I lived with my grandparents. And I remember them, like, just putting me in, like, the tub in hot water. That would help kind of soothe it. I laugh now too because they would give me Perigord, which is not on the market. And my grandma, we talked about this the other week. She's like, that stuff helped you so much. And I'm like, well, yeah, it had morphine in it. It knocked me out. I'm like, that's why they took it off the market. Yeah, so that makes me laugh. But yeah, so, that, and I always had like pneumonia. I was sick with pneumonia at least once a year, usually multiple times a year, but not one doctor and my like pediatrician, nobody ever said, oh, maybe we should like dive deeper into this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just thought that was life. And then, I get older and have my own children and everything, and they would get colds and my husband would get a cold and I'd end up in the hospital with pneumonia.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so it wasn't until, like 3 years ago when I started getting like really sick, like finally found out, why. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay, and you suffer from autoimmune diseases.
Yeah. So my geneticist thinks, and my neurologist too, another, like it's probably one big thing. But, going back to genetics, like I have so many people say, well, you took a DNA test, just take a genetic test and it can tell you. Well, and that's the thing where people that try to, the importance of actually knowing who a biological parent is, because you do need to know their health history. Because like for me, genetics has not evolved enough that they know that there are like mutations, but it's not, it hasn't been figured out to like what it causes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's
So
complicated.
yeah. So like right now they say like I have a rare like neuromuscular disease with no name. He said, oh, my geneticist is so sweet. He's like, calls me as a rare bird, little bird. And he said, maybe it'll be named after you. But he thinks it's one big thing because they've said like autoimmune disease. And then I have like a genetic autoimmune disease that's, it's called ankylosing spondylitis, like pretty much your bones like fused together. And then the neuromuscular, but it's like damaged like my whole body. But then I also support because I have, it's called hypogammaglobulinemia. So my body doesn't produce like immunoglobulin, which our bodies use to fight off bacteria and viruses. So that's why as a child, I always got pneumonia.
Oh my goodness.
And I would get, really sick.
Did you inherit this from your mother's side or your father's side?
Well, I can't say for certain, but I'm going to go with father's side because it's not on my mom's side. And I have a lot of half siblings that have, the same thing, or, other autoimmune diseases that are, but like the ankylosing spondylitis, there's a lot that have that, everything. So, but he has let's remember, he has no medical, problems or anything. Clean bill of health.
So your biological father, can I call him that? That makes me shudder. Yep,
Daddy Cline. That's why I say Daddy Cline.
Cline. So he claims he has no health conditions. He's healthy, but
Yes.
but many of his offspring have autoimmune conditions, diseases. And I may be jumping ahead of myself, but how many siblings do you have?
Well, I think around 100. I believe it's around, I probably should have tried to check, but 100, give or take, one or two. But I'm thinking we're like at the 100 mark.
When did you find out that you had more siblings? How did this happen?
So, it's so funny. So when I turned 18, it was between 18 and 21, my local news, they were looking for people that were from sperm donation. So I actually called them, but at the time, I didn't want to expose my family because I didn't know more. So I actually went and did an interview with the local news station that ended up helping me, 2 decades later, discover the truth. But I went and did an interview with them, with a silk screen. And it was based on your feelings of being donor conceived and stuff. And at that time, that's when I was I really, want to find, my biological father, and not necessarily him, because I didn't really have, I wanted to know who it was, but it wasn't I need a dad, because I have my stepdad who has been in my life forever. So since 4. And so, but I also wanted to see if I had any siblings. So I did that. And that's when I started trying to look, and I found one man who was a doctor, but then he became I think financial plan or something. I don't know. But we thought that he actually might be, but not doing a DNA test, because at the time DNA tests were not commercialized, and just to do a one-on-one test was, $500 or more. And we were young and had young children, and that just wasn't something that we could afford at the time. I didn't do that, kind of put it off. And then when I was, 34 or 35 is when I started looking again. And I happened to come across it was am4.net, Americans for Open Records, which is, I looked and it's no longer operational. But when I did, I had, you could choose, there was a little spot for donor conceived people, put in his name, and it brought up this lady with email address. So I just copied the email address, put it in Facebook. And when she pulled up, my first words, I turned around, because our computer, we had a desktop at the time. I turned around, looked at my husband. I said, "Holy shit, I think this is my sister." We looked so much alike.
Really?
We started talking, and she was like, "There's, another lady that I've been speaking to as well. Her mom went to him, and she has a sister as well." So the 4 of us started speaking. And the original, one that I reached out to, which she didn't see my messages, by the way, for 6 months. And this is when she got back to me, but we looked so much alike. But then she's over 6 feet tall. I'm 5'2". So we were like, are we? But, DNA, I didn't get the height gene. Yeah, there's a height gene, and I didn't get it. So that's why I'm so short. But yeah, it just all went from there. And then the 4 of us DNA tested, and that's when we started. We would spend days speaking and stuff, and
so you guys were siblings.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And these siblings you all have the same father. And let's bring in who your biological father is. Was your mom's doctor?
Yes, my mom's doctor, fertility doctor.
Okay. So when your mom was trying to conceive, she went to she had this fertility doctor, which we say laughingly, Dr. Donald Cline. Loosely. Dr. Donald Cline. And she picked, what did she pick? An anonymous donor? Did she pick one out of a catalog?
So Indiana, he was one of the few. I think there may have been one other gentleman that was, a fertility doctor. And he was like the go-to person. Everybody said, oh, go there, you'll get pregnant. So she went to him. When she went to him, he said that he used medical residence no more than 3 times. And they tried to match them to the closest to the birth certificate father's characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
So hair color, eye color, skin, all that stuff.
That's what he said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. But back then there wasn't any catalog or anything like that. But she was told that, they were healthy and, there was still the criteria, like couldn't be diabetic, have health issues. And
no
stuff.
health issues.
Mm-hmm.
And your mom was told donor wouldn't be used more than 3 times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you started to piece together with your siblings, you're related, you took your DNA test. Is this when around the same time you figured out Dr. Donald Cline, your mother's doctor, was your biological father?
Yes. So, at first, like when I matched, found the first, lady who I thought, oh my goodness, she has to be my sister. I honestly didn't think the other 2 because we didn't look much alike. But then I thought there's no way because there again, he only used the donor no more than 3 times. That would make 4. So I thought, I figured they wouldn't match us, but I thought I would match her. And then I was the last one to take a DNA test, partially just because we, still had kids at home and I just felt like I was taking money away from my family. And then also I was kind of scared, even though I wanted to know. It's like once you get to that point, you kind of, or at least I did, got scared. And I thought, oh my goodness, if I do this, I can't go back. My husband said he really didn't want me to do it. And it wasn't because of, finding siblings or finding out who my biological father was. He didn't think that I would. And he said, you've had so much heartache in your life. I don't want to see you let down again. So it's okay, if I do this, there's no turning back. So, but yeah, when we matched 4 other people as well. So that made 8 of us. And then the 4 that we matched, there was 3 siblings from one family and then a single from a different family. And they never questioned whether they were donor conceived because they grew up in the same town. Mm. So they thought that one of their dads had probably had an affair and they just never mentioned it. But then when we came along, the 4 of us knew we were from a donor and we're like, no, this isn't an affair. This is donor conception. But then that made us question right then, there's 8 of us. So what's going on? So that's when myself and the two of the other ladies, the one I found online and then the one she introduced me to, the 3 of us primarily would call each other, text and everything. And, pretty much put together family tree. And I can't remember what, I know it was, I think on a Saturday, but I remember when we said, holy crap, we think our biological father is our mother's doctor.
So their mothers went to the same doctor?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Did you talk with your mom about this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And how did she feel? Did she believe you at first?
Well, when I first, I think she didn't disbelieve me, but I mean, they're just, until we found out the information or whatever. But I know when I told her, she was like, oh, that would be sick because he's only a year younger than my grandparents. So, yeah. And on, the fact that, I mean, he lied to her. And that's when, we did have proof and everything. I mean, she said I was raped.
Yeah.
That's, whether the law states that or not, which Indiana does not, rape is considered, forcible. So, placing your bodily fluid somebody You get more time if in the state, in many states, most states. I don't want anybody to just bash Indiana because it's probably your state too, unfortunately, but you would probably get more time in jail for spitting on somebody than you would to place your semen inside somebody. That's disgusting.
It is. I have heard the term in the donor conceived community, especially medical rape.
Yes.
And this felt criminal.
Yes. And it is. It's medical rape. That's what I call it. Mm-hmm.
But yet, at the time, the state of Indiana, this was not a crime.
Mm-hmm.
That's just unbelievable to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your mom was violated.
Mm-hmm. And all the other mothers too.
And all the other mothers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And let's be graphic for a second. This was a fresh sperm sample, right?
Yes.
So explain that to me, if you don't mind.
So, you would go in and your patient, my mom or other mother, would be laying there and would be examined, and he would leave the room to retrieve the so-called fresh sperm sample from the donor that he said, but in all reality, he was leaving the room, going to whatever, assuming his office, and masturbating. And while under still that euphoric high of, it's a sexual act, and he's still under that euphoric high, going back into the room and placing his own sperm inside my mother or another woman.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just nodding in disbelief right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm just shaking my head in disbelief right now. This is absolutely criminal.
Yes.
No matter what the states say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So masturbating within minutes or a half hour of artificially inseminating the female patients, right? Okay.
Yeah. And it would have to be within minutes. I mean, because you can't leave I guess you can, but who would leave their patient sitting in a gown, which, back then probably doesn't matter if it was paper or cloth, but who would leave, with a sheet draped over their legs for that long?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's disgusting.
It's disgusting. Did any of the female patients pick, I suppose you wouldn't know for everyone, anyone that you know of, did any of them pick Dr. Donald Cline as their sperm donor specifically?
That I'm aware of, no.
No.
Yeah. Not one.
No.
And every mother that I have spoke to, myself has considered it medical rape and has said that given the choice that they would have not picked him.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry for these women and for all of you. So you have now a significant sibling pod at this point. You're piecing together your mom's doctor, all of your mother's doctor was actually your biological father. At what point did you start to, where does it go from there?
Well, so I told the other 7 siblings, I don't think we had anybody match us at that time, but I told them that I was going to go public. Well, let me back up. Sorry. A couple of us, 3, filed with the Attorney General's office because, I called everywhere to see what we could do. And we had filed with the Attorney General's office a consumer complaint. Myself and another sibling went on our local news, which was I reached out to every news outlet that I could, and nobody would help. And then Angela Ganote reached out to her, and this huge long message through Facebook asking her to help. She took it to her bosses, and it was a matter of minutes. She said, "I'm going to help you." And so I understand there are people that falsify stuff. So before they did anything, they DNA tested all of us to make sure that we all matched, and we showed her the proof and stuff. So she did a series of news stories, but they could not mention his name, Cline's name at first, because that's slander and everything else if it's not really him. Our names were changed as well. I think they used the name Julie for me during that couple segments and everything, during that time, trying to find out. But then it hit national news. And when that Attorney General complaint, we had put there's a box to click like to keep it private or not. We had clicked private, but somehow it did not stay private. So our names were public, and Headline News got a hold of it, and it like was across the screen, the three of us, our names that filed.
Wow.
And that's when those siblings like turned on me, and they blamed me for everything, even though they filed a complaint too.
Yeah.
So that's when I said, well, I'm just going to go public. Like, I mean, my name's out there now, and they did not want me to. They quit talking to me. That was so, wasn't really in the donor conceived community at first. And it felt like that, our donor conceived community was kind of just being built.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really had nobody to turn to. But I just said, this is wrong. Like, and that's why I told them, I said, I won't give out your names or anything else. But like, I mean, I just can't. And then there were some like that said, this is our dad, and they didn't want to betray him. Like, they want a parental relationship with him, which that's their choice. But there again, like, I'm not you. And, I'm not messing with that. If that's how you feel, like, go talk to him and have a child parent relationship with them, I guess. I don't think you're going to get it, but more power to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it just spiraled from there and everything.
And that's so hard when some people want you to keep your story a secret. I mean, this happened to you. This is the truth.
Yes.
And when this happens a lot on my podcast, there'll always be someone that wants you not to mention the name or what happened, but this is your story. And
yeah, mm-hmm.
you have every right to tell it. And especially in your case, because what was done was really wrong to
mm-hmm.
you and your siblings and your mothers. And
yes.
Okay. So there is some divide with you and some of your siblings.
Mm-hmm. And then after our father came out, there was even more.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. It was pretty bad. And, the thing is like some of the newer siblings don't know like that I haven't met. And so they like chose a side, which is fine. But I'm like, I didn't say anything. I just I was so sick when it came out, and I was losing my mom. But the thing is I'm not a freak. I just don't delete text messages. I have all those old phones. If you want to know the truth, like, you can go and request the documents mm-hmm. from court, and you could also ask, and I would show them. Like, because one of the siblings at the beginning said like, oh, she did no research. But I mean, it got so bad that they said that I was delusional, that my mom had never died, that I was lying about her death. Oh yeah, it was pretty bad. So, and when Netflix documentary first came out, I guess there was a part where I was scrolling through my 23andMe, and if you like paused it, you had to literally pause it, take a picture, and then zoom in, and you could see their name because it's supposed to be blurred out. That was my fault, apparently. And they said, well, you shouldn't have been scrolling through your, in the first place. And I'm like, no, when you do a DNA test, it literally tells you like it's not private, just like any social media. Mm-hmm. Our social medias are not private, even if you have them set to private.
Yeah.
And it tells you like use a username or initials. Yeah. So, or set your stuff to private, and mm-hmm. that way you're not sharing your DNA. But it's also my 23andMe that I am allowed to do with what I want. Mm-hmm. So, and I had to, because I don't know, but some of the things were just awful.
I'm sorry.
That were said. You don't have to be sorry. No. I mean, yeah.
I thought your story was so important, and that of your siblings and your moms. I thought it was so important, and it opened my eyes so much more to these fertility doctors with God complexes, such as your biological father. And this exists in other fertility clinics around the mm-hmm. United States. And you do work now, and other people in the donor conceived community, with legislation, right? And advocacy mm-hmm. and changing laws. I don't know if the listeners know this, but it's still legal in many states mm-hmm. or in some states. I don't know my facts, my data, to mm-hmm. do this, for a doctor to use their own sperm.
I got Indiana in 2019. Eve Wiley got fertility for bill in Texas in 2019. like right after mine. And there's only 11 states. And then we're working on HR 451, which is federal, which hopefully, with everything else going on, hopefully we can get a federal bill passed.
Thank you for your work on that. I know I've been
Thank
on other,
you.
I feel like I've been on telethons with you where you've literally been in the car doing Zooms on your way to
Did.
DC before.
Yeah, we were on our
Yeah,
way.
you do a lot of what do you do? Do you speak for these bills or to Congress
Mhm.
or to
Yeah.
senators? Okay.
Mhm.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That and like I've done like speaking engagements with Jody, Madeira, and Eve. We've done like an adoption conference, it was an adoption conference, but it was, like adoption and, donor conceived attorneys that
Mm.
work in that area. I think it's very important.
Such important work. I mean, and this is kind of now said within our community, but if you're not in the NPE world, you may not know this, the DCP world or the LDA world, that they often say there's more laws and regulations around dog breeding.
There is. Mm-hmm.
Which is just has to be said again because it's insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. My Sphinx cat had more regulations than
Wow.
my conception did. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Mhm.
Okay, so HR 451 is the federal bill you guys are working on getting
Yeah,
put into place. This is a slow process,
it
right?
is. It's a slow process, but we do have a lot of support and it's bipartisan. So that's one thing that I do, think is amazing.
Mm-hmm. I just had coffee on a side note a couple weeks ago with another donor conceived individual. His name's Eric. He lives here in Minneapolis with me, and he said he spent some time with you down in New Orleans. Is
Oh,
that
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. He's so awesome. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And a few other of
My
you
back
guys.
was killing me too. And I was like, teach me some yoga.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. That's
Mhm.
so great. I'm so glad you've found community and support because you haven't always received that.
Yeah. That's what I told Laura High, who I don't know, but I'm sure, well, like you said, the MP and donor conceived world knows who she is.
Yeah.
She's really big on TikTok and everything. But, she's organizer of the protest and everything. And I told her, I said, it's so crazy. But I was looking around and I said, you are my people. I'm going to cry. And I said, this is where I feel love. Like they're the ones that loved me when I couldn't even love myself and vice versa. Because I feel like we all go through such an identity crisis and then we question, things throughout life and childhood and everything. And it's so, I don't know. I don't think many of the groups are, how do I put this? I guess bite back at people that are angry at the moment and stuff. But just a reminder to the listeners, if you have somebody that is angry, just love them through it because just think back when you first found out,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have all those emotions and we just have to love our people through it.
Yeah. Feel your feelings.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's part of the process.
Absolutely is.
You were speaking about community, and after everything you've been through, that's it. Same with me. My new family, my new people is this community I've found since finding out I was an NPE 4.5 years ago. My community of nodding heads. They just get it and start nodding along immediately. They understand if you start talking about family dynamics or siblings or biological fathers that aren't great or other family members. But with your healing, how has that process gone and what have you found helpful?
Therapy. Seriously. And, it's really hard to find a therapist that actually understands. You and I both know there's been some horror stories of people going to therapists and saying, well, think about how your parents feel. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not what you should be saying to people. And that's one thing I have to say, like with the advocacy, I have also had opportunity to like speak to therapists. They've reached out to me and said, like, help me, on my wording on how to better help my patients and everything, which has been amazing. I'm always open to anybody contacting me and, doing better work for your patients. But no, therapy and just loving myself, like you said, feeling your feelings. And I mean, also too, my husband also and son, it's been, they've been a good support too.
I have a couple more questions about Dr. Donald Cline. Did you ever speak with your biological father?
Yes, I did speak with old Daddy Cline. I actually met him as well. But we also spoke on the phone and stuff. And that's how, I don't know how, I was so nervous, but I just had the forethought to record him. And I don't even know, at the time I was like, what am I going to do with this? But I did, I recorded it. And he just, of course, in the beginning, he kept lying, but he still does. I mean, he'll never tell the truth and tell how many times he did it or the years or anything else. But yeah, so I set up a meeting for us to meet with him. And I think there were 5 other siblings. That's when we were at 8 of us, which in the documentary, depicts that whole meeting in the cafe and stuff. And he, first said he did it, like 10 times, and then 15 times. Every time we would have somebody match us, though, like it would change. And then one time he told his son, which was relayed to me, that he only did it 3 times and he split it 5 different ways. And I'm like, unless you have, like, first off, that wasn't done, with only fresh sperm and not frozen sperm, because you didn't risk, your patients not getting pregnant. But unless you had 5 women within the span of an hour that you're inseminating, there's no way you split your sample into 5. So come on, buddy.
He's
and so he's a liar. And so the last time I saw him was, I believe, saw and like everything was at the hearing for his conviction or whatever. He was not convicted of any crime of like what pertained to our mothers and us. It was him lying to the attorney general, and he was found guilty on 2 felony counts of obstruction of justice, which is lying.
Was he sent to jail?
No, he had to go get his picture taken and pay a $500 fine. But since he's such an upstanding member of the committee, and he told him how this cracks me, his health wasn't good during that. His health wasn't good, so putting him in jail just like that, because he needs time with his family. So it's funny to me, like, his health isn't good when something bad might happen to him, but when he's sitting in his comfy home and everything, he's great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. God bless him.
0 consequences. A $500 fine.
Yeah.
And a picture taken.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think he's doing in life right now? He can't practice medicine anymore, right?
Yeah. I imagine he's retired. He retired in 2009. So imagine probably just living his best life. So that's the thing. Like, a lot of his friends, were other doctors, which stand by him. And so his little community of people he still has. So
he has friends in high places.
Oh, he absolutely does. Because let me tell you, when I first got sick, living where I do in the hospital network and everything, many of the doctors I went to, as soon as they found out, because they ask medical history, but as soon as they found out that he's my biological father, they would tell me, like, the medical history doesn't matter. Or I was literally looked in the eye and told, like, that basically we were ruining his life.
Oh, think about him.
Yeah.
Jacoba, think about him.
Yes. So, my whole point is like, my medical treatment at first was shit. It was absolute shit, because I had, even like during the time, like when I was sick and stuff and like taken to the ER, and, I would risk like having one of his colleagues treating me, and I wasn't treated. So yeah. And then I finally went into VTAC and was taken to a different hospital, like by my husband, and like kept for a whole week. And that's when they were, oh shit, she's really sick. Yes. And I have a whole amazing team of doctors now, though. And let me tell you, they don't agree with what he did. And
Mm-hmm.
they've actually talked to me about it and want to know and have said, I'm so sorry. For him to actually, be in my profession is sickening.
Yeah, good.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still live in the same community you grew up in? Okay.
Yeah. Well, no. So not where I grew up. He actually moved more west for my
Mm-hmm.
husband's job years ago. So,
Mm-hmm.
but where we raised our kids in
Yeah.
the
And you're
middle of nowhere where I have a
Mhm.
small, community of people and they all support me and it's good here.
You're still in Indiana, and you have changed the law in Indiana, so this can no
Mm-hmm.
longer happen again legally,
Yes.
anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So your biological father, you believe he has a God complex?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, there has to be some sort of mental illness. I can't say that he does. So, I
Right.
probably should word that differently.
Right. We can't
I
diagnose someone.
personally feel, because I cannot diagnose anyone, but yeah, I feel like there's some type of something there. And he
Yeah.
does, I can say he tries to use God to justify it. He did with me
Mm.
because he knew that, that I am Christian, I'm Catholic. And he's not Catholic. I think a lot of people got that confused. I'm the one that's Catholic, but when we met, he tried to use Jeremiah 1:5 to the whole before I knew you.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So when you met him, wasn't he packing a gun?
Mm-hmm.
Was it okay? I
Yeah.
think I
So
saw that.
you could tell. I mean, my husband was in the military and works in law enforcement. So, I've been around guns. You can tell the outline because he was wearing a cream or white, light colored sweater, everything. And he was walking with a cane that day too.
Oh, even though
Yeah.
he's so yeah, okay.
But he's very healthy. He was walking with a cane. So, yeah.
I just feel that's so intimidating the first time you're meeting your some of your offspring and you
Mm-hmm.
want to care. Okay. Just
Well, I
not a good
asked his son why he brought it, and I don't remember if he's the one that answered or if Cline did, but I know it said no, what was gonna happen. I'm like, what do you think? I'm 5'2". Do you think I'm gonna jump you in the middle
right.
of almost home in Greencastle, the
Right.
restaurant? No, no. And that's another thing too, talking about how close. So his granddaughter, which is my niece, went to college in the same community we live in. And so the next town over, where I worked as well, covered that area for
Mm.
911 because before I got sick, I EMT and then paramedic. And how I had to set my oldest son down and say look at this picture, and this is your cousin. So if you ever go to a party, because he was a few years younger than her, if you ever go to a party, please don't kiss or have
Yeah.
any sexual whatever with this girl.
It's so yeah, it's very important. There can be a lot of accidental incest when there's almost
Mhm,
100 offspring in a community in surrounding cities
mhm.
and then they have offspring. And yeah, I mean this can happen. First cousins, second cousins, half siblings.
Yes. And people say, oh, well, it doesn't happen. It does. And let me tell
Yes,
you,
it does.
there was a girl that was with us, woman in New Orleans, that shared her story, and probably is on Laura High's thing, but she spoke out about her boyfriend, high school boyfriend. They are not from a huge sibling pod either. And sure enough, they were high school sweethearts and had intercourse and everything, and didn't know until years later that they are half brother and sister. So it
Yeah.
absolutely does happen.
Yes, it does. And it's
Hmm.
traumatizing
Hmm.
when they find out. It's terrible.
Hmm.
Do you have any contact with the children he raised?
No,
Okay.
no. I know, his son said that I have sisters, there's three girls that he raised and one boy. They wanted nothing to do with me. And one of them was a nurse in his clinic who again kept telling me, my dad could not do this. My dad would not do this. And then his son, we actually did speak and, really did like him. But when I told him I was going to speak out, he said, you can't because of my mom. And broke my heart. It really did. But then I remember telling him, I said, but what about my mom? And what about all the other moms? And I said, it's unfortunate because whether you see this or not, you guys are all victims as well. So you can hate me if you want to, but I can't stay quiet about this. And, just like, I feel like that's just asking any rape victim to, not speak out about their abuser. And unfortunately, I have like half siblings that are, that happened to their moms that are the same way.
Yeah.
But, with his children that I raised, like, I just couldn't. And maybe one day they will finally sit down and realize that they are also victims too. And he is the one to blame, not me or anybody else, him.
Yes.
And they're also not him. So, like, when the documentary came out, I guess I had been told that, like, his son, for example, I guess his grandchildren were being picked on. I don't condone that. Like, his grandchildren did nothing. I mean, they may hate me, but don't, go and be like that to other people. He's the one that did it, not them.
Yeah. Well, he has lots of grandchildren now.
Oh, he absolutely does. Yeah. He has great grandchildren because I'm a grandma. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like, I mean, we wouldn't know this, of course. It almost feels like his raised children are sticking by him.
Oh, they are.
They are.
They absolutely are. When myself and other half siblings went to his hearing for the obstruction of justice, they all showed up, and grandchildren too, like the raised kids, and all sat behind him. And yeah.
Wow. Gosh. That's just some serious denial there.
Yes.
that they are struggling with. As they're allowed to do. It's their prerogative. So has anything of significance happened in your story that you'd like to share since the documentary aired, since Our Father aired?
No, I mean, I think that I'm so proud and thankful for the opportunity to get to do the documentary, as well, the other siblings too, because it brought a lot of attention for the donor conceived community. And I feel like MPs too, and adoptees, I feel like it finally, I guess, brought light, to all the communities and gave people a voice. And I've had so many people say, like, thank you. Like, you finally, like, allowed me to find my voice. And if I can be, like, I'm so thankful for that, it gave other people power. And even, like, we had a rape victim message me after it came out and said they were having to go testify against their rapist that day, and they weren't going to go, but they watched the documentary the night before and said, like, and I still don't view myself as like this important person, but I'm like, oh my gosh, like, if that's what you needed, like, thank goodness. Because, and I said, I just told her, I said, you're the powerful one, it's all in you. And I mean, I just, so like that, and like the opportunities, to speak and, help like therapists and, attorneys, and I don't know, I feel like even RPs and donors, just, all those different opportunities of spreading awareness.
It has brought so much education, work that you do currently, and Our Father. It really is inspiring. It is completely empowering. That's exactly the right word. I felt it brought so much understanding to your story, DCPs, NPEs. I have recommended it to so many people. Thank you for doing that and all the work you do currently.
Thank you.
People wanted to know more about you now or follow you or get in touch with you. What would be the best way for them to connect with you?
So my email, which is ballardjacoba@gmail.com. Instagram, not my private one, please. And that's Jacoba J. Ballard. And then I also have a Facebook page, which is Jacoba Ballard.
I'll put in your handles below for Instagram and your links that you just provided. Another link to Our Father, which is still available on Netflix. An amazing documentary. And is there anything that you would like to add?
Well, I just want to say to anybody that whether you've known for a long time or you're just finding out that you're an NPE, adoptee, donor conceived person, or even if you're a donor struggling or whatever, reach out to me, reach out to somebody, especially, the first NPE adoptee, donor conceived. Don't go through this alone. What you're feeling is exactly correct. There's no wrong way to feel. Just, you don't have to suffer in silence, because you have a whole community and communities, like subgroups of people that are there to help you.
Yes, exactly. It's so nice that we have the internet these days and we can connect with others like us that have been through the same thing as us.
Yes.
Find community. Oh, Jacoba, this has been so great. Thank you for taking the time.
No, thank you.
To do this today. I appreciate you so much.
I know, and hopefully we get to see each other again soon.
These stories are here for us to identify with. If you are an NPE and would like to share your story, email npestories@gmail.com. You do not have to give any identifying information. If you are an NPE and would like to share your story, I'd like to hear from you. Subscribe to this podcast to hear more. Come heal with us.